Hey you guys, it's Kaylee. I'm back with another what sold from last week video. In today's video, I'll be talking about everything that sold on eBay and Poshmark, doing a breakdown of those sales numbers. I come on and do these videos every week to share with you what's selling for me. That way you might know what to look for while you're out at your local thrift store to flip online for a profit. So we're going to dive right into these sales, but let me just say that I am super happy with my sales numbers and I'm hoping to stick between the $5,000 and $6,000 mark per week. And I know I had that one week that was like crazy good where I almost hit 7,000, but I think that was an anomaly for now. Hopefully I'll work up to that and that will be a consistent thing. But I think right now between 5,000 and 6,000 is where I'm generally going to be at. Let's dive into those sales. That's where I hit last week.
All right, guys, so everything on this screen happened between November 6th through November 12th. That is a Sunday through a Saturday. In total, I sold 177 items between two platforms, which were eBay and Poshmark. My gross sales were $5,348.07, making my average sale price $30.22. My estimated cost of goods based on an average buy cost was $708 for everything that sold last week. And then my estimated net was $3,354.45, which is my gross sales less cost of goods, fees, and shipping costs, and also any shipping discounts that I gave out on Poshmark. In total, I sold 97 items on eBay and I sold 80 on Poshmark. We continue to be pretty steady on Poshmark, which I'm really happy with, although as you can tell from this report, this is being used as like a closet clear out, almost flush out system. So we sell a lot of like older items on Poshmark and cheaper items. Whereas on eBay, we're selling the more newer pieces, the higher quality, going for more. So on eBay, I sold a little over $3,500 for an average sale price of almost $37. And on Poshmark, I sold a little over $1,700 with an average sale price of just over $22. So big difference there, but super happy that I cross-post because without that, I wouldn't have this padding of sales. And I think it really helps when one platform's not doing so well that the other platform really pulls through. So we're going to jump into some sales. I pulled some specific items that I wanted to show you, some things that you may want to look for while you're out at your local thrift store to flip online. So this first one is a pair of Aria boots. Aria is a great brand to pick up, not only in men's, but also women's. These are a pair of women's boots. Here is their logo. And these actually had the style name on the inside. They're called Fat Baby. Apparently that's like one of their original styles. I thought these were interesting because they were also red. Now, as you'll see in the listing, there was some wear, and we did note that in the listing. I paid up for these because I felt so confident in them. I paid $14.99. We listed them for about $65. They ended up selling on an offer to watcher for $58.39. Next up is another piece I would highly recommend looking for. It is men's Ralph Lauren blazers, or Ralph Lauren, any of those lines, probably everything except for chaps. Ralph Lauren is typically only a women's line, but in the men's department, they do sell blazers in this category and sometimes dress pants as well. I was lucky to find this new with tags, and so I absolutely picked it up. This was called the Executive Fit Wool Blazer. It was a size 40 short, which 40 is a little bit larger. Actually, I guess it's not. That's more medium, I would say, but a decent size regardless for a men's blazer. I paid $5.99 for this. We listed it for $69.89, and it did sell for our full asking price. Pre-owned blazers, I usually get anywhere from like 40 to 50 from Ralph Lauren if I want it to move quickly, sometimes more depending on the print. Next up is a really high quality item. It is Alice and Olivia silk multicolor blouse. Now this brand doesn't tend to have the best sell-through rate on eBay, but when the pieces do sell, they sell for quite a bit. And I noticed that the silk, really interesting abstract pieces were doing really well. I'm going to pick up Alice and Olivia and just be willing to sit on it because, like I said, their pieces do end up selling for quite a bit, although you do have to wait on it. So I picked this guy up. We paid only $5 for this. I listed it pretty high at about $80. I didn't want to sit, and when someone sent me an offer of $65, I went ahead and accepted that offer. But I thought that that was a great return on investment for a short sleeve top. Next up is a brand I'd highly recommend looking for in men's jeans. The brand is Taylor Stitch, and I look these up simply because, you know, I talk about it a lot, but the higher end brands are typically brands that are just black lettering on a blank white strip of fabric. This is one of those cases. So Taylor Stitch, these are a pair of men's jeans. They were called the Democratic style, and their jeans seem to be doing really well. Depending on what you've got, they can go for even more than this. I paid up for these. I paid $6.99 for them. We listed at $59.99. They took about a month to sell, and we ended up accepting an offer to Watcher of $53.99. Next up is a brand I also really like picking up, but sometimes have to sit on. This is Everlane, and this is a size extra small cashmere sweater. Now, extra small is something I don't typically pick up, but when it comes to Everlane cashmere pieces, I'm definitely getting them. Their cashmere pieces sell way more quickly than anything else, in my opinion, that they have. Even their jeans. So I always pick up Everlane cashmere. I paid $4.89 for this. We listed for $49.98, and it did sell for our full asking price. This piece is a Tory Burch women's merino wool cardigan. This is also a size extra small. Now, Tory Burch is a designer, and her stuff retails for quite a bit. Kind of like that Alice and Olivia piece. Sometimes you have to sit on this brand, but because it was a merino wool cardigan, I thought that that would help to pull the sale through. I paid $4.89 for this. I found it at a regular Goodwill, and we listed it for $49.98. It took a few months to sell, but it did sell for our full asking price. Next up is a J. Jill piece. I'm getting a lot more pickier with this brand, but this is a 3X linen dress in a really nice color, so we decided to get it. I paid $4.89. We listed for $44.89. It took a couple months to sell for our full asking price. This is a brand that retails for a lot but does not always resell for a lot and tends to not have the best sell-through rate. But once again, this was cashmere, so that helped me to pull the sale through. It was also a wrap sweater. So wrap really adds value, especially in cashmere pieces. So I can usually add like $5 to $10 just on the fact alone that it is a wrap. So I listed mine pretty high, and I actually paid up for this. I paid $8.99 for this. We listed for $49.89. It took about a month and a half to sell, but it did sell for our full asking price, which I was really happy with. Next up is a brand I do recommend you look for. It is exclusively Miss Sook. Now, they tend to have like more mature, artsier pieces. I grabbed this one because it was a size extra large. We paid $4.99 for it. It is just an embroidered cardigan. We did not take the best picture of this. You can see that it's getting pretty washed out, but nonetheless, it's still sold for our full asking price in about a month and a half. This is also a brand I love picking up. This is Eileen Fisher. I pick up almost everything in this brand. I pick up the older pieces. I pick up the newer pieces. I just try to stick to a pretty decent condition. You can see that this one actually did have a few signs of wear, but because of the larger size, it really helped to increase the value. And we paid $4.89 for these, and we sold them for a full asking price of $39.98. And it took, I would say, about 3 months to sell. So towards the end of our 90-day window, but still sold for our full asking price. Here's another Ralph Lauren men's blazer. This one is not as good because it is just corduroy. It is not like anything fancy schmancy. It's more like a casual one. This was a size 44. I actually got this at the bins. I find a lot of men's higher designer brands and men's blazers at the bins that people just pass on, but I go ahead and snatch them up. So at the bins, this was a little bit heavier because it was a blazer. I probably paid a total of $4 for it. We ended up accepting an offer of $33 on this. This one did take, I think, over 3 months to sell, but it's one of those things that I know that it's going to sell for decent money, so I go ahead and get it. Next up is a Free People line. This is Free People Movement. It is their athletic wear line, and I've been picking up everything in this brand. Here is their logo and their tag. You can see these are a size large, which really help to up the value. These are also a jogger kind of sweatpant, which is really popular right now. Pretty much anything jogger I'm doing a comp on because it's performing really well and really helps to increase value. I only paid $4.89 for these. We listed for $39.99, and it did sell for a full asking price, and it took a couple of months to sell. This was a really quick sell. This is Isolde Lacoste vintage, and it is a men's cardigan sweater. I talk about it all the time, but I pick up a lot of men's cardigans. I don't come across them super often, which is why I think that they are more valuable. Is, you know, men's cardigans don't typically go into rotation, and when they do get rid of them, people snatch them up at the thrift store. So I pretty much pick up almost any men's cardigan I come across if it's in good condition. However, I did know that Lacoste can be a pretty valuable brand, and this was vintage, so that really helped to increase the value. We paid $4.89 for this. I listed for $39.88. It sold very, very quickly. I think it only took a few weeks, and it sold for our full asking price, so definitely keep your eye out for men's cardigans. This was an interesting piece I think you guys will find pretty funny, but this is Forever 21. Definitely not a brand I would normally pick up, but it was 100% real suede leather. It was very westerny, and I did know that western was really popular. It had some like fringe detail, kind of gave me festival vibes. You can see we included some of those words here. So I did a comp on this like Forever 21 leather fringe jackets, and they actually had decent comps, so I took a risk on it. I paid $7.59. That's a lot of money for a Forever 21 piece, but I'm really happy I did. We listed for $37.96. It did take over 3 months to sell, but it sold on an offer to watcher for $34.66. Next up is more of a bread and butter piece for me. I got this at the bins, so it was probably like $1 to $2, but this is Vince. I don't normally pay up for this brand, which is why I only got it at the bins, but I do like picking up sweaters in this brand when they've got, you know, a little bit more going for it. In this case, it had some nice cabling detail, and it was a yak blend. So again, we got this at the bins. It ended up selling for an offer of $25, so that's why I say more bread and butter, but it can be worth it to pick up at a lower cost. This is something I pick up in everything I find. It is Hilo Hattie. This is a vintage size extra large women's Hawaiian dress. There's a really big following for Hilo Hattie, so again, I always pick up their pieces. I paid $4.89 for this dress. We listed for $34.89. It took about a month to sell, but it did sell for my full asking price. And yes, it sold in colder weather, and it's a Hawaiian dress, so pretty impressed with that. Next up is another bins find. People left this behind. I've noticed that the bins people aren't picking up UGG as much, and I'm definitely way more hesitant with it. I try to only focus on some that are in really, really good condition because it's just not selling as well as it used to. But I looked at these because they are the mini like short boot, which is really popular right now. This is actually Kookaburra by UGG. This is like one of their lower lines, I would say. It's supposed to be like its own brand, but it is by UGG. And they do not tend to sell for as much as UGG pieces, but like I said, I did know that this like short mini boot was in style, so I picked them up, and it wasn't that much of a risk for me at the bins. Probably with the weight of these, I probably paid $2 to $3. I listed for $34.98. Took a couple months to sell, but sold on an offer to watchers for $31.48. This is a Masters piece. If you guys see Masters as a brand, I would say it's definitely worth looking into. They have a following. It is a golf brand. This is a men's vest. You can see it has the Masters logo right here. The thing about this vest was on the back, this logo was starting to peel. I took a risk and decided to get it anyways. You can see we noted that here in the condition and also down below in our regular description. But I did end up taking the risk because the sell-through rate was so high. I paid $5.99 for this. We listed for $34.89. It sold on an offer to watcher for $31.40, and it took a couple months to sell. This is a brand I pick up almost everything in. This is Title IX. This is a size extra small, but it is like a tunic sweater, which in this brand, these kind of like longer length sweaters and hoodies do really well. It was also made out of merino wool, so definitely keep your eye out for Title IX. We paid $4.89 for this. We listed for $29.88. It took about a month to sell, but it sold for our full asking price. This is Patagonia. This is a men's size extra large shirt. This was a fishing shirt, had that fishing feel to it, which is why we priced it up a little bit. We paid $4.89 for this. We listed for $34.99. It sold for our full asking price within a couple of months. You guys know this is one of my favorite brands to sell. This is Knox Rose. This was a really, really gorgeous ivory color maxi dress, and we found it new with tags. So you can see it retails for $34.99. Usually when I get new with tags pieces, I don't expect anywhere close to the retail value, but with this brand, I do. There's just something about this brand. It sells really, really well and quickly. So, I mean, I take risks on it all the time. So we picked this up for $5.99. I paid up for this dress. It is a Target brand dress. It's crazy, but I felt that confident in it. We listed this for $29.99, which is a little bit higher than I would normally do, but I did that because it was new with tags. It ended up selling on a 10% off offer to watcher for $26.99, and it only took a couple of months to sell. This is a Vince piece, another Vince piece. Again, this is more bread and butter for me, but I do like picking it up. We only paid 99 cents for this. If it would have been full, like $5 at the thrift store, I probably would not have picked this up because, again, the sell-through rate is not that great. But this was a size large, lightweight, neutral color, kind of modern sweater. We paid, like I said, 99 cents, listed for $29.98, and it sold for our full asking price. This is another great bread and butter brand for me. This is Marine Layer. Now, normally I would price a piece like this up a little bit more, but as you can see, it had pilling. Let's see if I can get this to work. Pilling all throughout it. I could not tell whether it was manufactured that way or not, but I thought it probably wasn't. So we made sure to note that and just price this a little bit lower. But Marine Layer pieces do, like a piece like this, I'd probably list for between 30 and 40 had it not had that pilling throughout. We paid $4.89 for this. I listed for $24.88 just because of the pilling. It ended up selling on an offer for $22.39. This is another great brand to pick up. This is Carbon to Cobalt. So I showed this in, I think, a Thrift With Me video or maybe a thrift haul, but I was not aware that Carbon and Cobalt made women's pieces. This is a brand I used to only pick up in the men's, but I found this at the bins. I did a comp on Carbon and Cobalt women's sweaters, and they were actually performing really well. So I got this. I probably paid $1 or less because it is a linen cotton blend sweater, super lightweight at the bins. Listed for $29.88. I was pleasantly surprised this sold in like 2 weeks for an offer to watcher of $26.89. So I was really happy with that. If you guys see Carbon and Cobalt women's pieces, I think they are definitely worth picking up. And last one on eBay before we move on to some Poshmark sales, this is an Anthropologie piece. It is Meadow Rue. This is, I would say, one of few brands that I pick up almost everything in Anthropologie wise. It just tends to perform really well for me. But this was a silk top, and I found anything Anthropologie 100% silk performs really well for me. I don't expect it to sell for a ton. I expect like 25 to 30, which is what I priced this one for. But they do sell. So I kind of factor all that in when I'm making a decision on whether to purchase, but Anthropologie silk pieces are a yes for me. I paid $4.89 for this silk top. Again, this was Meadow Rue. We listed for $29.98. It sold for my full asking price. Moving on to some Poshmark sales. This is actually by UGG. This is not Collabora. This is UGG. And you can see this has a little bit of wear just all throughout, but it doesn't seem like it because they're slouchy, but these actually were in pretty decent condition. I think the lighting's just really harsh on black, but I picked them up because they were in pretty decent condition. We paid $4.99 and they sold on Poshmark for $31. This is a really awesome brand that I just learned about and just found for the first time. If you find it, absolutely pick it up. So this is, I don't know how to pronounce it, Anismene, I think is how you pronounce it, but it is a made in Ireland sweater. So that was my first indicator that it was probably worth something. It had baby alpaca in it, and you can see the thread count on the baby alpaca is really, really high, which is a good indicator of a quality item. This felt like really awesome. Like you could just tell it was a really high quality piece. And anytime I see made in Ireland sweaters, I almost always pick it up. It's usually a really great flip. So I found this at a regular Goodwill. I paid $4.89 for it. We listed it, I think, for like $125 maybe, I think is what we had it listed for, or best offer. This ended up selling extremely quickly. I got an offer for $100, and instead of holding out, I went ahead and took it because you never know if you're going to end up passing on an offer and sitting on an item and then it becomes warmer weather and then you have to wait till next year. So I thought $100 was super fair. I will absolutely pick this brand up all day long if I come across it, and I highly recommend you do the same. This is a North Face jacket. I think we made a mistake in the listing. I think this is the Ocedo, not Orcedo jacket, but regardless, it still sold pretty quickly for us. This is just a like super soft, fuzzy zip jacket. I still get North Face, but I'll be honest, I pass on at least 50% of it these days. It has to be like a really high quality, like modern looking, great condition item. So this one I thought fit that bill. I paid $10 for this. It ended up selling for $38. Maybe that was a little much to pay for this, but I did know that these Ocedo jackets flipped pretty quickly. This is a definite Bolo brand. This is Planet by Lauren G. If you guys see just Planet or Planet by Lauren G on the tag, absolutely pick it up. I would even say maybe even with holes or flaws. You can see there's a stain on this one. Still sells. Crazy sell-through rate. Really awesome. And they usually use like Pima cotton is usually what I see in this brand. Made in Peru. But they have very like minimalistic kind of login looky pieces. And like I said, they flip so quickly. I've only found a few pieces by them, but I'm really impressed with this brand. I paid $4.89 for this, and it sold, I think, within just a couple of weeks for $95 on Poshmark. Insane flip. Here's another North Face piece. This is a women's puffer jacket. Anything North Face that is a real down puffer, whether that's a vest or a jacket, men's or women's, doesn't matter, get it. As long as it's not, destroyed with feathers poking out. This is a $5.50 filled down North Face women's vest. You can see it's a size small, so a little bit smaller size. This we picked up, we paid way up for this. We paid $14.99, but we did know that it was going to sell very quickly, which is why we were okay paying up for it. I think we listed for like $75 and I accepted an offer of $60. This is a brand I've been experimenting with. This is Catherine Malandrino. This was a 100% cashmere sweater in a size large, so I got it. We picked this up at the bin, so probably paid $1 or less. This brand, I'm still not sure about. Still experimenting on. It retails for quite a bit, but I think the factors have to be there in order to justify paying up for it. So I'm currently mostly still picking this up at the bins. We listed this for $29 on Poshmark. It sold for our full asking price. Next up is a Banana Republic women's lamb leather jacket. Lamb leather, if you touch it, is like buttery soft feeling leather. And usually that's a good indicator of a quality item. It really ups the value. In my opinion, it sells better than regular leather. So I found this Banana Republic like fur lined kind of aviator looking, that would have been a good keyword to use, zip jacket. And I found that leather jackets with the like fur lining are doing really well right now. I paid up for this. I paid $8.99 for this, and it ended up selling very, very, very quickly for $75 on Poshmark. Banana Republic isn't typically a brand I pick up everything in, but Banana Republic leather is a definite yes for me. Here's another example of a men's cardigan. This was a great sale. This is Banana Republic as well, and we paid $4.89 for this. It is just a gray merino wool sweater, size extra large, all of those things I started adding a few dollars for, just for those great factors. And it ended up selling very quickly for $45, a Banana Republic men's cardigan. Great return on investment, stuff people pass on all the time. I would highly recommend picking up men's cardigans. This is a Nike women's 3X top. I like picking up Nike and plus size pieces in the women's department. Pretty much everything else, unless it's a substantial piece we're leaving behind, it just doesn't perform as well as it used to. So we paid $3.50 for this crop top, and it did take a couple of months to sell, but it sold on Poshmark for $26. Here's another great example of like a factor stacking sweater. This is Talbot's, which is a brand I do enjoy picking up, but I try to stick to the larger sizes. This was a size extra large. It was an ivory sweater, and as you can see, it's got like some chunky bobble knit to it, which really helped up the value. I thought this was very on season. We paid $4.89 for it. It sold for $29. This was a very sad sale for me. This is a vintage 90s Ozzy Osbourne Blizzard of Oz t-shirt. I had this priced over $100 at one point, but I have been sitting on it, and the offers that I was getting was about what I ended up selling it for. So I just said to myself, you know what? This is what the market has decided this is for, and it's time to part ways with this. So I only paid $1.99, so not too much of an investment for me, but I was sad to see it go for so little because I thought it was going to sell for much, much higher, but I ended up letting it go for $45, and I know some people are going to be on here saying, you let it go for too little. I'm okay with it. I've sat on it for too long. If somebody else wants to try to sell it and undercut me, I am totally okay with that at this point, but still a great sale, still a great return on investment. But yeah, I'd highly recommend keeping your eye out for vintage band tees. This is Vuori. This is a brand, pick up anything in this brand. It's awesome. Really high sell-through rate. Sometimes it's very hard if like the label's not on the inside. You just have to look for this logo. You got to kind of remember that logo. It's really easy to spot though because it does feel super high quality. This brand has like a 300% sell-through rate, and it always sells for a lot. I paid $4.89 for these pair of men's chino pants. Surprisingly, the like dressy pants don't do as well as the sweatpants. I would think that they would sell for more. It's actually the opposite, but these were going for about $35 to $40, so I priced mine about there, and they sold for $35. This is another bins pickup. This is Pottery Barn Teen Duvet Cover. I like picking up Pottery Barn pieces when I can in the home department. Their stuff sells really well for me, especially in like a bright multicolor. So this was Pottery Barn Teen. It is a queen, so you know, a larger size duvet cover. So even though it's teen, like anybody could use it, right? So I got this at the bins. I probably paid about $5 for it based on weight. It ended up selling for $45 on Poshmark. This is a great brand to pick up during this time of the year. This is Sorel, and I've actually been finding a ton of Sorel lately. I don't know what's going on, but I'm not complaining. Sorel you can usually locate by this tread right here. They almost all have this kind of rigid tread, so something to keep your eye out for. These are one of their more classic styles. These are called the Joan of Arctic wedge boots, and we paid $5.99 for these boots. They ended up selling, I would say it took about a month and a half to sell, for $60. Really, really good pickup. This is Sundance. I pick up almost everything in this brand as well. This is a wool blend cardigan, size extra small. Has a really pretty like periwinkle color to it, and it was in really excellent condition. I paid $4.89 for this. It sold for $40 on Poshmark. Not much to say. I would definitely recommend picking up Sundance. This was an awesome find. This is a Ralph Lauren women's like dragon t-shirt. This I did find new with tags. Anytime I have found Ralph Lauren any line with like a dragon or a snake or something like that on it, some kind of animal, it always performs really well. And Ralph Lauren women's tops size large and up tend to do really well just in general without an animal on it. So definitely pick this one up. I paid up for this. I paid $8.99. My thrift store priced it pretty high because it was new with tags, but I was happy with that because it sold very quickly at $40. So definitely keep your eye out for these kind of tops. Next up is another example of a sweater that I picked up based on factor stacking. This is called the Moonshiner by Himalaya. I looked this up because it had 67% mohair, kind of like that other sweater, high thread count or knit count, whatever you want to call it, material percentage of mohair or alpaca or cashmere is usually a good indicator of an item to pick up. So I know nothing about this brand, but I picked it up. I paid $4.19 for it. It sold for $40, and it honestly sold within a couple of months, which is pretty quick for something I was taking a chance on. This is a men's brand I pick up in everything. It is John Varvatos, and as you can see, their short sleeve t-shirts sell for a lot. The least I've ever gotten for John Varvatos was $25 for a men's very plain t-shirt. This one did a little bit better because it was a burnout Henley shirt, and it sold very quickly. We paid $4.29 for it. It sold for $40. Highly recommend anything in this brand. This was probably my most interesting sale of the week. I think a lot of people don't know about this, but Fox Racing stuff does really, really good. And anything with like the Monster Energy or Red Bull like logo on it can perform really well. So if you see anything that looks like merchandise and it's heavily merchandise, might want to keep an eye on it. But this Fox Racing Monster Energy collabs do really, really good. I paid $5.99 for this hoodie. I had a ton of interest, not only on this platform, but the other one I got offers immediately, and I held out for a good price. I got $60 for it, for a Fox Racing hoodie, and I think this is something a lot of resellers pass on, so I'm sharing this with you now. Really awesome piece to pick up if you find this collab. And lastly is another marine layer piece. This is a sweatshirt. Again, I said this is a really great bread and butter like brand to pick up. I even pick up their t-shirts. This one was just a pretty plain pullover men's sweatshirt. I think we had this listed originally for $35, and just to move it quickly, I accepted an offer of $28. We paid $4.89.
Alright guys, so that's it for what sold last week. I hope that you guys enjoyed watching. If you're not already and you would like to be, don't forget to subscribe down below. I do these videos every week, share with you what's selling for me, and hopefully you learn a little bit from these videos. Drop a comment down below and let me know how sales are going for you. But that is it for today. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.